She could taste iron before she could see it. Rust and grit coated her tongue. A calloused hand forced her face into the earth. Another voice chuckled, somewhere behind her. Obey the man or waste away in the shadows. Mara. She stopped pleading months ago. Pleading, it only made them grin. 4 years in that basement, it taught her silence was safer than pity. Tonight, though, the world above, it had split apart. Her husband's boots stomped down the steps, bourbon in one hand, a strap in the other. "You still think you can flee?" he sneered. Mara, she didn't respond. Her gaze caught the tarnished knife, near the wooden barrel. When he lunged for her again, she acted. One sound, a choke, then silence. He collapsed without a word, his weight shattering the lamp on the floor. Fire licked the hay, and the room, it roared with flames. Mara staggered through the haze, barefoot, eyes stinging. Behind her, the house, it began to crumble. Every step was agony, every breath a penalty. But she didn't halt. The valley night, it struck her like a sharp slap. Wind wailed across the boundless plains. She ran until her legs forgot what running was. Hours blurred, blood crusted on her hands, dark under the starlight. When dawn broke, she wasn't sure if she was alive or already a specter. Her dress stuck to her skin, ripped, heavy. She chased the sound of a stream that didn't exist. Then through the mist, she saw a shape, a shack, a man. For a moment, she thought it was another mirage. She dragged herself closer, step by step, until her knees buckled beside a smooth rock. The man turned at the noise. He was tall, silver at the edges, eyes keen as winter frost. Jonah Creed, he'd spent half his life escaping what he once was. When he saw the woman collapse, his hand, it reached instinctively for the shotgun by the door. Then, he heard her voice.
"Don't stop, please." She was trembling, bleeding, terrified. He froze. For a long moment, neither of them breathed. Her hair was matted with blood and dirt, her face barely visible beneath the filth. She tried to crawl away, not from him, but from the terror that still gripped her. He stepped back, slowly. His voice, it came out soft, cautious. "I ain't gonna harm you, ma'am." Her hands, they shook harder. Tears cut clean paths down her grimy cheeks. "I just can't be touched, not even by kindness." Jonah felt something twist deep in his chest. He'd seen bodies, seen blood, but not this kind of brokenness. He knelt a few feet away, keeping his distance. "Let me help you." She shook her head, whispering, "You can't help what's already gone." The valley wind rose, sweeping dust across the fading sunlight. Jonah watched her struggle to stand. Her breath, it came quick, shallow, the kind that meant the body was giving up. She tried again, murmuring to herself, "I can make it stop. I just need somewhere still." Still. That word, it struck him harder than any bullet ever had. He'd come to this valley for the same reason, to vanish, to forget, to live in quiet. And now quiet, it had found him, bleeding at his doorstep. Jonah looked toward the horizon. No riders yet, but tracks behind her said someone would come. He had 2 choices, let her die, or open his door and invite death inside. Her eyes met his, pale blue, hopeless, but still alive. He sighed, stepped back, and nodded toward the shack. "Door's open. Come in when you're ready." She looked at him, then the ground, then back at him. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came. Instead, she crawled forward, slow, trembling, into the shadow of his home. Jonah closed the door behind her, the sound echoing like a vow neither of them yet understood. Outside, the wind fell, the valley stilled, and somewhere far off, a single wolf began to howl. What was he truly letting in that night? A dying woman, or the past he swore he'd buried? The shack smelled of ash and old timber. Jonah set a pot of water on the stove, keeping his eyes off the woman. She sat near the door, too weak to move, staring at the floor like it was the only thing she trusted.
When he brought her a blanket, she flinched. He stopped a few steps away, laid it down, and said softly, "For the chill, you don't have to take it." Her hands, they shook before she reached for it. "Thank you." 2 words. Small, but real. He nodded, went back to his chair by the window. Outside, the valley stretched like an ocean of dust, silent, vast. Jonah poured 2 cups of water, slid one across the table. She didn't drink. She just stared at the steam, like it reminded her of something distant. After a long silence, her voice came out rough, broken. "Do you believe in hell?" He looked up. "I've been there, a time or 2. That made her smile, just a little. Then she said, "I didn't mean the kind in scripture. I meant the kind a man builds for you, one lock at a time." Jonah said nothing. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "I killed him, my husband. It wasn't meant to happen, but it did." Her eyes, they glistened in the firelight. "He kept me in the basement 4 years, said he was teaching me submission every night. He made me forget who I was." She paused, trembling. "I stopped pleading after the first year. Pleading, it made him laugh. I prayed instead, but God stopped listening too." Jonah looked at the fire. He didn't tell her it was okay. He didn't say she was forgiven. He just let her speak. "When he got drunk that last night, he told me I wasn't even worth striking anymore. I remember seeing that old knife. I don't remember much after that, only fire and the sound of silence." She took a slow breath, like the story itself was venom leaving her body. "Guess I'm not welcome anywhere now." Jonah stood, walked to the shelf, grabbed a tin of bourbon, poured a small measure into her cup. "Drink. It'll ease the trembling." She hesitated, then did. The burn in her throat made her cough, but she didn't stop. Jonah spoke finally. "You did what you had to. That don't make you wicked." She looked at him, like she wanted to believe that, like she hadn't heard those words in a lifetime. Outside, the wind. It struck the walls again, soft but steady. Mara's eyes started to close. She fought it, whispering, "If they find me, they'll kill me." Jonah met her gaze, calm but sharp. "Then we best make sure they don't." Her lips parted, fear flickering again. "You mean they're already near?" He didn't answer. He just looked out the window, jaw tight, eyes narrowing into the dark. Because out there, something stirred. The night, it grew colder, heavier. Jonah hadn't moved from the window. The lamp burned low, casting lines across his face, deep, worn. He could see it now, dust rising on the horizon. 3 riders, moving slow, steady. Not the kind that passed through, the kind that came hunting. He turned to Mara. She was half asleep, the blanket pulled up to her chin, her face calm, for the first time since she arrived. He thought about waking her, then didn't. Instead, he checked his shotgun. The sound of the metal sliding back, it was soft, but final. The kind of sound that said a line had been drawn. Minutes later, hooves hit the dirt outside the shack. A gruff voice called out, "Creed, we know she's in there. Hand her over and we'll be on our way." Jonah opened the door slowly, one hand resting easy on his belt. The men outside, they looked like every kind of trouble he used to run with. 3 horses, 3 guns, and 3 cold eyes. He spoke calmly. "You boys rode a long way for a falsehood." The one in front smirked. "Word is the woman killed her husband. We're just doing the law's work." Jonah tilted his head. "I've seen the law's work. Didn't look much like justice to me." The man's smirk faded. "You're hiding her, Creed." Jonah shrugged. "Maybe.
Or maybe I'm just tired of men who think they own other folks." The man spat. "Then you're standing in our way." Jonah's voice dropped, low as thunder before a storm. "I've been in the way, my whole life." No one saw who drew first. 3 shots cracked through the silence. When the dust settled, only the wind was left moving. Jonah stood there, still as stone, eyes hard, chest rising slow. He turned back toward the shack. Mara stood in the doorway, eyes wide, hands trembling. "You killed him." He nodded. "Yeah, guess old habits die harder than I thought." Tears filled her eyes, but not from fear. She stepped closer, stopped a few feet away. "They would have dragged me back." Jonah looked at the horizon again. "No one's dragging you anywhere now." The words, they hung heavy, but gentle. She swallowed hard. "Why are you helping me?" He met her gaze. "Because someone should have, a long time ago." Silence filled the shack again, but this time it wasn't empty. It felt like breathing after years underwater. Outside, the sky, it was turning silver. Morning was coming. And for the first time in years, Jonah Creed didn't feel like running. He poured 2 cups of coffee, set one in front of her, and smiled. "Just a little. Drink up. You're gonna need it. The hard part's not over yet." If you stayed with this story this long, thank you for sticking around. Go ahead, pour yourself a cup of tea or coffee, and tell me, what time is it where you are and where are you listening from? And if you'd like to hear what happens next in this quiet valley, hit that subscribe button, partner. You won't want to miss what's coming. The sun rose slow that morning. Jonah stood in the doorway, looking at the 3 fresh mounds of earth behind his shack. He'd buried men before, but not like this. Not with a prayer in his heart. Not with someone watching from the window. Mara sat inside, wrapped in his old jacket, hands around a steaming cup of coffee. She looked smaller in the light, but her eyes, they were different now. Not frantic anymore, just weary.
When he walked in, she said quietly, "You didn't have to do it." Jonah set his hat on the table, dust rising from it. "Maybe not, but I wanted to." She looked at him, like she couldn't believe anyone would say that for her. "You don't even know me." He gave a small smile. "Don't need to. I know what it's like to be chased by your own ghosts." Her lips trembled. "You ever stopped running?" He poured more coffee into her cup. "Not until today." They sat in silence for a while. The kind of silence that felt like peace, not fear. Jonah took something from his pocket, a small cross, carved from weathered oak. He hung it back on the wall, right above the shotgun rack. Then he placed his shotgun beneath it, hand steady. Mara watched him. "That gun, it saved me." He nodded. "Maybe, but some things ain't meant to be held forever." She looked down at her hands. "I don't have much to give back." He tilted his head. "Then give what's left." That evening, when the sun dipped red across the valley, Mara walked out to the edge of the porch. She held something in her hand, a small bundle of dried sage she'd found in his cupboard. She tied it with a thin cord and hung it by his bed. "For what?" Jonah asked, half smiling. "For forgiveness," she whispered. "For both of us." He didn't answer. He didn't have to. The smell of sage, it filled the small shack, soft and clean, like a fresh start, pretending to be ordinary. Outside, wolves called, somewhere far away. Inside, neither of them moved, and for the first time, silence felt like a choice. But as night fell, Jonah looked at the horizon again, and what he saw there, it would change everything. Morning came, soft and slow. The smell of coffee filled the shack. Jonah sat by the window, watching the light creep across the floorboards. Mara, she hummed a quiet tune as she baked bread on the small stove.